Hi, welcome to the sales simulation. My name is Steve Bang, and for the purposes of this simulation, I'll act as your sales manager. We designed the sales simulation to help you test some of the things that you learned in class. Some of the strategies and tactics in the sales process you can actually apply in the simulation, try it out, and see if it works for you. The sales simulation is divided actually into 3 sessions. Each session runs between 2 to 3 hours, and you must be at all 3 sessions in order to successfully complete the simulation. Our first session is our networking session. The networking session actually is where you'll meet prospective customers as well as people who are going to be selling some of the products that you need to buy. Followed by that is the sales presentation session. That's where you'll actually present to your prospective customers, and hopefully you'll get them to agree to meet with you in the final session, the negotiating and closing the sale session, where you'll actually negotiate a price for the product and close the sale. Now, in order to help you along, we've put together a series of 4 videos. This one is a general overview of the sales simulation, and I'll also talk about how you'll get your marks for the simulation. Following that, you can watch it anytime you want and as many times as you want, our simulation networking exercise video, and hopefully that one will give you some hints and tips on how to actually prepare for the networking session, and also what's going to happen during the networking session and how you can react accordingly. You can then watch the sales presentation video, and that one will give you hints and tips on how to make your presentation, how to get ready for it, how to deal with the customer, how to schedule, how to make sure that you're ready. And finally, the last video will hopefully get you ready for the negotiating and closing the sales session. Now that one also has some rules attached, so make sure you see that one because there's specific things you can and can't do during the negotiation session, and you'll want to make sure that you're familiar with that. Now, you can read about all of this actually in our little brochure, which is called the Professional Selling Sales Simulation, and it's about 16 pages long, and it also includes the 2 assignments that you're going to have to do in order to get some marks for this, and I'll talk about those in a few minutes. You'll also hopefully have received your personal profile. This profile is different for everybody. On this profile, it'll show you what you need to sell, as well as your budget for the exercise, and a few other things that you need to do in the negotiating and closing the sales session. So what is the sales simulation itself? Well, the sales simulation goes something like this. You've just moved to a new town. It's called Salesville. Okay. And in Salesville, you've bought a house. And you've got a job. In fact, you're a salesperson for a company in Salesville, and you're responsible to sell a certain product. Now, your parents gave you a little money to go along to Salesville with. It's not quite enough, but it's a bit, and it'll help you buy some of the 4 products that you need to buy to finish furnishing your house. You'll have products and you'll have accessories, you'll have a budget, and if you sell some products for the company you work for, you'll receive a commission. And those commissions can be added to your budget and allow you to actually buy more products. So you go into the game or the simulation knowing that you have a little bit of money, but you also know that you don't have enough. And in fact, you're going to have to negotiate in the negotiating and closing the sales session in order to make enough money and make ends meet and make sure that you don't go over your budget, because there is no credit in Salesville. There is no overdraft protection. When you go to Salesville, you cannot go over your budget or you will be penalized. So let's talk about penalizing. Let's talk about your marks. How do you get marks in this type of simulation? Well, we've broken it down into a few ways. The first way you're going to get marks is a reflection paper that you're going to find in the packet on the sales simulation, and that's worth 10 marks, okay? The second way is another reflection paper that you're going to do, and it's worth another 10 marks. You're going to do the first reflection paper following the networking event. You're going to do the second reflection paper at the end of the total simulation. The third way you're going to get marks is from your sales results and from your buying results. And each of those is carrying a mark of 5. Total marks for the simulation are 30. So, how do I get sales results? How do I get buying result marks? Well, in order to get the sales results mark, you have to sell a lot of products. And the more you sell, the more marks you get. Remember, you've got a product and you've got accessories. Add them both together. The more of those you sell, the more you get. And I compare you with your peers to see how well you're doing. So I look at the whole group of individuals and see who sold the most, and they'll get the highest mark. And the person that sold the least, unfortunately, will get the lowest mark, okay? And if you sold the average number of products compared to your peers, then you'll get the average mark, which would be 3.5 or probably 3.5 or 4 out of 5. Now, the buying, how do you get marks for buying? Well, you need to buy the 4 products you're assigned to buy, and those 4 products will be given to you at the beginning of the networking event. You need to buy them within your budget, very important. And you need to buy as many of the accessories as you can to go along with those products within your budget, plus of course the commission that you get from your sales. Now, you can't go over your budget, and it is possible to buy a lot of products as long as you sell a lot of products, make a lot of commission, add that to your budget, and then you can purchase as many as possible. The person who buys the most products wins or gets the highest mark, okay? Total of 30 marks, and that's how it's marked. So essentially, that's what the sales simulation is. You'll go into the networking event. You'll want to meet as many clients as you can. You're going to schedule appointments for the second session, which is the sales presentation session. And hopefully after you make your presentation in that session, your client will agree to meet with you in the third session to negotiate and close the sale. And that's at the end of the session. The sales simulation in a nutshell. I now invite you to take a look at the second video, during which we'll explain the networking event in a bit more detail, and also some hints and tips on how you can be really successful in that event. Thank you.